Hello, my name is Father Stephen Kennedy. I am on mission in Ireland. Today is Wednesday of the 31st week of Ordinary Time. Today's Gospel is from St. Luke, chapter 14, verses 25 to 33. Great crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and addressed them. If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers should laugh at him and say, "This one began to build, but did not have the resources to finish." Or what king, marching into battle, would not first sit down and decide whether with 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. In the same way, every one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. In the Gospel passage today, our Lord speaks about what is required of us if we are truly serious about following him. We read that there was a great crowd accompanying him as he walked along. So he turned to them and spoke to those who were following behind about what they should keep in mind if they wished to continue following him. He knew that there were some who were following him only exteriorly. They were not ready to go beyond the superficial and to truly allow his words, his message, and his person to transform their lives. So he speaks sincerely to them. He tells them that if someone wishes to be a disciple of his, they must be ready to renounce many things that are dear to them. He begins by focusing on the people in their lives. He says, "If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple." St. Gregory the Great once asked, how is it that our Lord asks us to hate our family members and at the same time asks us to love our enemies? He responds that both can be done if we make a distinction. By loving all of those who are family members and whom we consider to be our friends, and by fleeing from all of those whom we recognize as our adversaries in our striving to follow Christ. A type of hatred, says St. Gregory, is to refuse to listen to those who suggest evil things to us. And yet, this can happen even from those who are closest to us. Our Lord then moves on to speak about a broader form of renunciation that must take place. A person who wishes to follow him must be willing to renounce all that can be an obstacle to doing God's will. He says, "Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple." The phrase, "carry his own cross," comprises all sacrifices, that of renouncing one's possessions, and even of enduring shame and mockery, if this is what is required in order to follow him. The crowds who were following our Lord along the road thought that he was on his way to an empire. He was on his way to the cross. So our Lord is telling them that the person who would follow him was not on the way to worldly power and glory, but must be ready for a loyalty which would sacrifice the dearest things in life, and for a suffering which would be like the agony of a man upon a cross. In the second part of today's Gospel passage, our Lord says that the self-denial required takes considerable consideration. Once again, one can admire our Lord's sincerity. He is saying to all of his listeners that it is not easy to be a true disciple of his, that it costs, that it takes effort, hard work, and constant sacrifice in order to attain to the heights that he desires for his followers. And so, from the outset, one must count the costs. He says, "Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers should laugh at him and say, 'This one began to build, but did not have the resources to finish.' Or what king marching into battle would not first sit down and decide whether with 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. In the same way, every one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple." So, just like a man who decided to build a tower, or a king who is going to war, we too must prepare well and count the cost of what it means to follow Christ. It follows from the very nature of the self-denial, which is the necessary condition of following him, that this following of him is a difficult undertaking, which costs a great deal, and that we must therefore first provide ourselves with sufficient means for it. These means are the firm resolution and determination to do all that such self-denial may require of us. Christ holds before us a great ideal, that of following him by means of a constant battle. A battle against our sinfulness, our pride, our impatience, and our vanity. A battle against all of those voices who mock and jeer him and his church. A battle against the voice in our mind which tries to distort his message, dumb it down, and substitute it for a weak form of our faith. If we truly wish to follow him, we will count the cost and say yes to his noble call. May Our Lady intercede for us so that we will have the courage to proclaim the beauty of the gospel message by the witness of our own lives. Let us remember that if we are daunted by the high demands of Christ, we must remember that we are not to fulfill them alone. He who called us to the steep road will walk with us every step of the way, will grant us his grace, and will be there at the end to meet us. As our Lord said in another moment of his public life, "Blessed are you when people abuse you and persecute you and speak all kinds of falsehood against you on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven."